Baseball in the Boroughs is brought to you by Verizon. With my plan, get exactly what you want and only pay for what you need.
What are your thoughts on where the team is currently?
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's been incredibly frustrating. Listen, I watch every game. I see what's going on. I mean, if you ask me, would I have expected us to be in this position at the beginning of the season, the answer is no. But here we are, and, hopefully we can right the ship. Listen, we have quality players. For some reason or another, they're not gelling. When we pitch well, we don't hit. When we hit, we don't pitch well. It's kind of weird. I mean, it's actually very strange to me. And I don't know if the players are anxious. I don't know if they're pressing. I mean, I assume that that's a little bit of that. We see a lot of mental errors, that what I call enforced errors. Obviously we can clean that up. We've lost games because of it, and there's nobody to blame, and it's really across the whole team. But we played great last night. That was a crisp game, probably one of the best games we've played all year. And so we know it's possible, right? We know we're capable of doing it, and now we got to string it together. And the problem is, we're really at close to half the season, and so we don't have as much luxury of time as we have before. We still have time. I mean, I read something today that said there was one team every year that came from 8.5 back in the last 4 years to make the wild card. Okay, and so obviously we came in with higher hopes and making the last wild card or whatever, but that's where we are, and so the season's not over. I'm preparing my management team for all possibilities. If we don't get better, we have decisions to make at the trade deadline, and that's not my preferred end result. But I'm preparing all contingencies, and we'll see where it goes. It's on the players, right? I mean, they're veterans; they've been there before. I think they're, these are players that have done it, and we'll see if they can get their act together and string together some wins. I can't pitch and I can't hit. Okay, so that's the way it goes, and we're hoping for the best.
You talked about preparing for the contingencies in which you would sort of be selling at the deadline, or I guess conceding that this season was not going to end in a postseason run. In that,
by preference, okay.
Well, this doesn't seem to be the preference either.
What's that?
This current situation, I assume, is already not your preference.
Listen, this is where we are, right? We got ourselves in this mess. Now, how are we going to get out?
If you were to pursue that, some sort of retooling, what kind of timeline do you think that would put the team on? Like, how far back would you be sort of resetting things? That's a very general question. It's really hard to know. It really depends. I mean, obviously you want to stay competitive. You still want to take advantage of opportunities. Once again, it's a case-by-case situation. I haven't really developed my thinking on that. If it turns out we don't improve, and I'm looking at 24, with let's say, with a similar team, 1 year older for a veteran team, probably not a great place to be. Okay, I mean, it could get better, but it may not. And so, we have to make those judgments. We have to make honest, truthful judgments. There are no guarantees we're going to get it right, and but we're thinking about it every day, and like I said, my druthers would be that we're not faced with that situation. How much would you be prepared to add at the deadline if you were, say, in a position like you are now? Or a little bit better?
If I'm in this position, I'm not adding, okay? I mean, I think that would be pretty silly, okay? I mean, I would probably do very little.
Steve, what's your current confidence level in that management group, be it Buck Showalter, field manager, or Billy Epler?
Listen, I mean, I'm a patient guy, okay? Now everybody wants, a headline. Everybody says, fire this person, fire that person. But I don't see that as a way to operate. If you want to attract good people to this organization, the worst thing you can do is be impulsive, okay? And win the headline for the day, and not, overall, over time, attract, you're not going to attract the best talent because they're not going to want to work for somebody who has a short fuse. And listen, I know fans that, they want something to happen, I get it. But sometimes you can't do it, because you have long-term objectives. And that's the way it is. Listen, I've been clear from day one that I'm still looking for a president of baseball ops. Billy knows. I've had that conversation with him. He's supportive. My view is this is a very complex job, and there's a lot to do, and it's a lot on one person. And so, obviously we have people under Billy, but from a leadership standpoint. And so, that's still out there. We'll see. At some point, we will fill that position. And my view is, Billy will be part of that. I think I've enhanced, at that point, I've enhanced the management team, and that's the goal. And so I've been very patient. The biggest mistake you can make is go hire somebody and set the organization back 5 years, 10 years. And so, I've been waiting, and at some point, we'll hire somebody.
Can you say definitively that Billy and Buck will remain in their jobs through the season?
Absolutely.
Would a fourth place finish and not making the playoffs bring along major changes at the end of the season?
It's not fifth place, right? But no, listen, fourth place is not the goal, okay? And anytime you end up in fourth place, to sit and do nothing is probably not a great place to be, okay? So, getting into specifics, I don't know what the answers are. We'll figure out what went wrong, and then figure out how to fix it.
So just to be clear, you haven't thought about that yet, being 16 and a half games back in the division and 8 and a half back in the wild
We're
card.
not playing well. I don't care if we're 16 and a half or 14 and a half or 18 and a half. It's terrible, okay? That's not what I expected.
What does Steve Cohen, the owner, say to Steve Cohen, the fan, right now?
Sorry about it. We're working hard. I understand the disappointment and frustration. That's the beauty. We have passionate fans. You're right. They live this. Okay. Listen, I'm living this. Okay. I watch every game. The finishes of the games this year are pretty wild. I describe it as almost like a dog track where the dogs are trying to chase the rabbit, and they get up to the rabbit and they somehow never win. Okay. But that's what's happened. It doesn't mean it's going to continue in the future. We have pretty good talent, but it's on them. They're not performing up to the level that they themselves would have expected. For a multitude of reasons, individual issues. But they wanted more. They wanted as much as anybody else. And they're just going to have to get their act together. They're going to have to act like a team. They're going to have to support each other, right? This is not an easy task, and it's going to require real commitment.